So for something a little bit different today, we're outside the tiny garden and the allotment, and we're in Stroud. It's very exciting because not only have I now represented Ecotricity, I'm now representing Ecotalk plus RSPB, and I really couldn't be more excited. So Ecotalk plus RSPB is actually Britain's most sustainable mobile network, and the most exciting bit for Ecotalk plus RSPB is that they actually do something called Bills into Hills. So Bills into Hills essentially means that customers' bill money goes towards buying back land for nature. I couldn't have thought of a better thing for a mobile network to do myself. Ecotalk plus RSPB are super passionate about making Britain greener and sustainability. So today we're here with Simon Pickering. Thank you so much for having us in your garden.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Yes, and this one feels massive compared to the tiny garden.
Yes, I suppose it is, yes. So we're here today to talk about what you can do in your garden over winter for wildlife and plan for the spring. One of the most important things probably in any garden, no matter what size, is to have some three-dimensional space, three-dimensional vegetation, going from the ground level to the shrub level and to trees, because it provides habitat for a whole range of birds and species to actually move around. And in terms of wildlife, things like the ivy at the back there is really important over winter. Because it's an evergreen, it provides continuous cover. So in that ivy there, there'll be a whole load of insects and invertebrates that have fed up and are actually wintering behind that ivy. Also, ivy is really important late in the summer. It's often the last flowering plant there that provides nectar and pollen for bees and overwintering species. And yes, they produce berries. Not all species eat them because it's a bit toxic, but yeah, it's really important for overwintering birds. In terms of ivy in small gardens, it's a great thing to pot grow. You can grow it in pots, so you can actually move it around on a trellis, so you don't have the risk of it, interacting with your walls or things like that.
Use it as a bit of a screen for your
neighbours. It is one of the best screens. It's it's quick growing, it's great for wildlife, and because it's an evergreen, it's a screen all year round.
So I've managed to sniff out your compost heap, which I know is the most important bit of a garden. It's the great kind of the place to start basically with a garden, isn't it? Get your compost right.
That's right, yes, it's absolutely vital to adding nutrients back to the soil and adding organic material, and it's also a great place for wildlife.
Especially over winter, right?
Especially over winter, yes, because all the invertebrates in there are eating and breaking down all the organic material, and it also keeps it nice and warm. Compost management is a sort of an art and not a science, and is this a good time of year to turn the compost?
It's a pretty good time of year, especially allotment-wise, clearing some of the beds and laying a nice thick mulch of compost. The only thing with turning compost at this time of year is critters might already be coming in to hibernate. So hedgehogs we've got at the allotment, for example. Yeah. So in case they're in there hibernating, just if you're using a fork, just to go really easy.
Really gently, yeah. Just do it in small amounts, just in case, We also get slow worms in this compost.
Oh, lovely. I've not met a slow worm before.
Haven't you?
But
right.
I feel like my time's coming soon.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of slow worms around Stroud. They're really common. It's amazing.
Oh, fantastic.
In most gardens, people have bird feeders. So there's a whole range of bird feeders that you can have. And they're great for attracting birds. This one's just sunflower hearts in there. This one's a fat ball in here. These are actually hanging in apple trees. And it's also important to sort of leave the fallen apples on the ground so birds can eat them, because they're a really important food source.
Different birds like different things, don't they? So it's good to have an array of different types of seeds.
Absolutely. You have a whole range of different. We've got peanut feeder and a black seed feeder over there. All birds have different shaped beaks, and you can see what they're going to be eating. Leaving stuff on the ground is great for thrushes and blackbirds and starlings and things like that. So I just put that down there so that they can eat that. One thing about bird feeders also to remember, bird feeders in an enclosed area like this, birds much prefer that because it feels safer. If we had a pole in the middle of the lawn there, you would get less birds using it because they would know they're exposed, and they would be exposed.
Our garden's so tiny that we do actually, in the wintertime, we bring out the pole and put it right in the middle, but it's so small, it is pretty much enclosed. And I know some people get worried about other critters coming in, like, say, for example, rats. We've got a sort of resident rat that comes and visits. It's adorable, though, and I don't worry about it too much. And he kind of just cleans up the mess that the bird feeder makes, but I think you can get no mess ones. But really, it's all wildlife, isn't it?
It's all wildlife. So obviously, rats are just part of the natural ecosystem. As long as they're not in huge numbers and get into your house, because they're absolutely everywhere. And if they're cleaning up the bird food, that's absolutely fine.
So the other thing, I suppose, apart from bird feeders, but actually feeding the birds over winter, it's important not to be too tidy in your garden as well. So not just insects and things, but maybe some perennial flowers and that sort of thing. That's
right, seed heads. What sort of things would you recommend?
So Veronicastrum's one. I think they've got really tiny seed
Goldfinches
heads.
Goldfinches love tiny seeds. That'd be great for them. Yeah.
And even Verbena bonariensis, there's quite a few. And then berries, like we were talking about on the ivy, or something like Cotoneaster that can climb up.
A lot of those have got sort of stones that are actually toxic to humans, but most birds have got the ability to eat them. So that's why it's really important, actually in the wider countryside, that farmers leave hedgerows uncut. So the berries are there for the birds to feed, and they only cut them sort of when the berries have been eaten.
Yeah.
Do you have a pond in your tiny garden?
Oh, I don't, but it's so tiny, I just don't know I'm working on it.
Because we've just got a little pond here, which is really important for amphibians and birds to drink. But if it freezes over, or sometimes even in the summer, I actually just use a little pond, just this size.
Yes, I've got one of those ponds.
they're really important, because you can just top them up with water. So I always think that one of the things about wildlife gardening is not to be too tidy.
Definitely.
Messy gardens are generally great for wildlife. A bit more difficult in a tiny garden, of course.
A little bit, but tweaks here and there.
Yeah. So here we got behind us there is our stick pile with our sort of pea sticks and various things, and there's logs underneath there, and we just leave that there over winter. Great for invertebrates, and maybe our local hedgehog is wintering there. I don't know.
Ah, so cute. So in the allotment, I've got quite a good, we've got a dead hedge going right on the border between us and our neighbours, sort of right at the back. So we're hoping to kind of build that up over the years. But in the tiny garden, I do actually have a place, we've got a raised planter that's been on the patio for ages. And underneath that, there's a shelf, and I keep my sticks and things underneath there, and rocks and things that I find in the garden, and I found frogs behind there before.
That's right, because amphibians, they overwinter under rocks, and things like frogs and toads. That's a great place for them. They'll be happy there all winter, and they'll come out and then start eating all the insect pests.
A nice healthy ecosystem in the garden.
Nice, healthy, balanced ecosystem. That's exactly what you want, yes. So this is an area where we actually had a slab during lockdown, where we had the wood burning stove on, so we could sit around and keep warm and socialise safely. But you can just see here that we've got some worm casts coming up.
Perfect.
So this is a sign that it's a really healthy lawn, so that worms are really important. Worm casts are actually got much more available nutrients. It actually makes the nutrients much more available from just the normal soil.
Yeah, and that's why our worm composter at home, which if you don't have a wormery at home, it's actually a good time over winter when things are a bit less chaotic gardening wise. There's a bit of downtime, we're kind of looking at seed catalogs and that kind of thing, and if you don't have enough space to do like mega composting or have a huge lawn and that sort of thing, and especially if you're, well, any plants benefit from worm castings, like you said, they're so dense in nutrients, aren't they?
Yeah.
So the stuff that comes off your wormery at home is just like pure nutrients, black gold, if you will. It's a good time winter as well, just to learn the balance of how much food to put in and that kind of thing. Just get it right, and then you'll be singing all through the busy period of gardening in spring and summer. Harvesting
the wonderful black gold from your kitchen wormery.
Yeah. So I've spotted that you've got some mistletoe in the garden growing on, is that a fruit tree?
Yeah, it's an apple tree. This is my one and only success of trying to get mistletoe growing in the garden.
Oh,
it's some mistletoe from a friend who have an organic orchard, and they give us some mistletoe every year. And then I always take the berries, the white berries, afterwards, and then smear them in apple trees there. And I've been doing it for, I don't know, we've been in the house 16 years. I've been doing it for 16 years.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the one that's taken.
So, and Simon, what are you pretending to be exactly when you are wiping the seeds on the tree crevices?
I'm pretending to be a mistletoe thrush,
Yes.
as it were, or any of the thrush family, because they're great. The white berries, when they come, there's not white berries on this at the moment. The birds love them in the winter, and they've got this wonderful sticky, really sticky material on them, and they actually wipe their bills to get the seeds off, and it just wipes them into the crevices.
Perfect. So I really hope you've enjoyed seeing me outside the tiny garden and allotment today and having a nosy around Simon's garden. I'd really encourage you to think about switching to Ecotalk plus RSPB for your mobile network provider. Every time I use my phone, I know that I'm contributing or paying towards making more space for nature and wildlife. So really, what could be better?
It's been a great day, hasn't it? Let's go and have a cup of tea.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Here we go.